Okay, that's fine. So, really, my Terrie's top tips for telling. Lots of nice alliteration there. When you're storytelling, especially if you're storytelling to people in person, so these stories that you've made today, this is the first time that you're going to tell them, and hopefully they'll be brilliant and you'll be really proud of them. I'm sure you will, and I'm sure we'll all be really impressed. But this doesn't mean that this is the only time you can tell them. You might want to tell them to other people. So when you go to school, you might want to share them with friends at break times, because sometimes, especially this time of year, if the weather's a bit miserable and you've got nothing to do, you could be there telling a story and all your friends will go, wow, that's an amazing story. So my top tips, oh look, there we go, we've got another story map. Awesome, very nicely done, some good pictures there, I like your horse. So my top tips for telling is make sure that you can be really clearly heard. Now, it's great if you can do some character voices to make sure that your characters sound different, but never do a character voice that sounds so strange that people can't understand what the character is trying to say. Because what's the point of telling a story if nobody can understand it? So sometimes when I do a character voice, I might do a bit of, all right, I'm off to go and see what's on down to the market. Oh, I'm going to go and sell my cow, especially when I'm doing a Jack story. Jack always seems to talk a bit like that. But I would never do something that sounds so crazy that people couldn't understand, unless I'm doing an elf. And when I do an elf, I've got a little elf voice, but I use my body movements instead. So when you're telling, don't think that it all has to be your mouth. Sometimes it can be your body as well. So sometimes when I do an elf, so you can do little voices like that, but as long as you pass on whatever information you need to do in a different way. And lastly, my top tip is eye contact. So storytelling is very different from acting. When you're acting, what you're trying to do is ignore your audience, because you've got something called the fourth wall, and that means that there's sort of a difference between the people that are on stage and the people that are watching. But in storytelling, there really isn't that difference, which is why some people really enjoy storytelling, because it feels much more interactive. So with storytelling, we try to make eye contact. Now, if I was in a room with all of you right now, I wouldn't just be staring at my camera. I would be looking around each one of you, making sure I was making eye contact, making sure that you'd got what I was saying and that you understood it, and also making sure that you were enjoying it. And if I spotted anybody that might not be enjoying it, I'd be thinking, oh, what can I do to make this more fun? So my top tips really are about speaking clearly, use your body as well as your voice, and make eye contact with your audience. So my 3 top tips for telling. So I'm going to give you another couple of minutes now to finish off your stories. If you've already finished off your story, that's brilliant. I recommend rehearsing it and telling it. If you've got your story map in front of you, that can help you remember what happens next. But don't just stare at it, and don't hold the piece of paper up in front of your face, because we want to see your beautiful faces and we want to hear your gorgeous voices. But if you haven't quite finished your story, this also gives you a few moments to wrap it up and present us your masterpieces. So in about another 3 or 4 minutes, we'll start having a listen back to your stories. And I, for one, can't wait, because I'm always storytelling and it's a real treat for people to tell me a story. Okay, so can you talk nice and loud, and can you give us your story?
Once upon a time there lived a girl called Izzy. She loved unicorns, and there was a latest ice cream called the unicorn toffee ice cream. She went with her dog to the ice cream parlour and bought it. When she drank it, eaten it, she felt cold and shivery. Then when she looked down, her dog was a unicorn, and she had a unicorn horn. She gasped, and then she saw another unicorn person with a horn, and it was a boy called Rory, and they married each other.
Oh, well done. Thank you very much, Anna. That was beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Did you enjoy making that story?
Yes.
Yeah. What was the bit that you were really most proud of?
When she turned into a unicorn.
Excellent. Lovely. Wonderful. Can we give Anna a really huge round of applause, because it was really brave to go first. So give her a round of applause. That's it. Lovely. Hurrah! Wonderful. Okay. Lilia, do you feel like you would like to go next?
Story? Not next. Do you want to go the one after next? Yeah.
The one after next. Okay, that's fine. Jacob, are you ready to tell us your story?
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, wonderful.
Right, show your picture. So
So blurry.
it's a bit blurry, but he's got the story. So,
very well done.
So you're going to tell the story, Jacob? So once upon a time, there was a little boy called Tomato. And he went outside and he went to look at his sunflower, which he always kept to make sure it was always nice and it was growing strong. And then suddenly he noticed a big apple tree next to it. So he thought, look at all those apples, but he had a problem. He couldn't find a way to get to the apples. So what did he do, Jacob?
Climbed up a ladder. Got a ladder and then climbed up it.
So he climbed up a ladder and he got some apples, but he couldn't get very many. So he came down again, and what did you do? You thought, how can I get more apples off the tree? So what did he do, Jacob? Shot the apple tree, and then loads of apples came down, and he picked them all up, and then he took them home to Mrs. Tomato, who cooked a lovely big apple pie, and he was full up. And that's the end of the story, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant. Round of applause. Fantastic story, Jacob. And very well told with Grandad's help there. So what was your favourite bit of the story? What were you most proud of?
When I got the ladder and then I got up the tree.
When he got the ladder up to the top of the tree.
Do you know what? That was one of my favourite bits as well. I thought that was very clever. Well done, Jacob. Another round of applause. Lovely. Okay, marvellous. You should be very proud of that story. That's a good one. I hope you're going to be telling that again to other people.
Yeah.
Lilia, can we have your story now? I'm really excited to hear yours.
What have we been doing?
Right. Did you want to tell them what it's called?
Mummy can help if you're a bit nervous, Lilia.
It's based on Jack and the Beanstalk. Yeah, we like that one. And this one's Lilia and the Magic Mushrooms.
Oh, lovely.
Do you want to hold up your storyboard?
Oh yes, then we can see it as you tell it.
Yeah, and what happened was they had no food.
No food.
No food. They were very hungry. So what did we do? We grew some flowers. We grew some flowers so we could swap them for magic mushrooms at the market. Have you got a picture of the flowers?
look at all those beautiful colours.
Yes.
Because you've got a nice pretty.
Right. So we grew some flowers, didn't we? So we could swap them for mushrooms at the market. And what happened? The mushrooms grew really, 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 really big because they were magic, weren't they? And the mushrooms, because they were magic, they grew lots of tasty food. So we didn't go hungry again, wasn't it?
Oh, brilliant.
The flowers grew lots of food as well. Yeah.
Magic flowers as well. Oh, brilliant, Lily. What an amazing imagination.
Yes.
So what was the bit that you were most proud of in your story, Lilia?
What were you most proud of? Your pictures? Yes, the pictures.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was surprised we didn't have a fairy in there somewhere, considering your wonderful outfit.
Flowers as well, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you could make an addition to that. So the next time you tell that story, there can be a little fairy in there as well. I think that would be quite good. You could have Lilia, the magic fairy, coming to save everybody with her magic mushrooms and magic flowers. I think that'd be great. Wonderful. Well done. Another round of applause for Lilia. Mum, because Mum did a great job helping there as well. Lovely. Okay, so Imogen. We're going to come to Imogen. If you could unmute yourself, we would love to hear your story.
Once upon a time, there was a man who read about a strawberry called the immortal strawberry that makes you live forever. And he really wanted it. So he set out on his boat to the island of Forest, but there were some monsters there. And luckily he had brought his bow and arrow. So he shot the monsters with his arrows. And then after going through a lot of forests, he found a building which, when he opened the door, had the immortal strawberry in a case. So he tried shooting an arrow at it to break the glass, but the arrow just bounced off. Luckily, he found a hammer behind the case and tried that, and it managed to smash the glass. So he took the immortal strawberry back home on his boat again and shared it with everyone.
Brilliant! A round of applause for Imogen. Fantastic. And what was the bit that you were most proud of in that story?
Probably the end bit.
The end bit, where they all came home and had the immortal strawberry. What did they do with their immortality?
Some of them.
Another story for another time.
Yeah.
Oh, so this could be a great series of stories now. Exciting. Excellent. Thank you very much, Imogen. That was brilliant. And thank you, everybody, for your stories. They were fantastic. And just think, an hour and a half ago, you didn't have any story, and now you've got a story, you've done pictures, you've performed your story in front of an audience. That's a massive achievement in a very short space of time. So I would like you to give yourselves and each other the biggest round of applause with lots of whooping and cheering now. 1, 2, 3. Very impressive, guys. You should feel very proud. And in fact, it's so impressive that perhaps you deserve a little foodie treat afterwards. So you can go and choose what that is. I'm going to pass back over to Becca.
What did you like about
What
this?
did you like about this session?
What did you like about that, Jacob?
Fun.
You had fun?
Hungry, and you made a great story.
You had fun? You were
Yeah,
now
all of
hungry?
them.
Yeah,
All of
all of
them?
them.
All of them. So some of you might be able to press the answer. Oh, well, there you go. Thank you all so much for coming along, and we hope you have learned a little bit about storytelling today, as well as a little bit about some of the stories that you may have made up about food and what each other made up about food as well. So thank you very much for spending your Saturday afternoon.
Say goodbye, Jacob.